So finally, it's the time to start developing our mobile application using Flutter. But before that, I assume that you already installed the Flutter SDK on your computer. If not, you can go to the flutter.dev, and here inside the docs, you can go to the get started, and you have the Windows installation, Mac OS installation, and Linux installation guide. And this documentation is really true, and if you want to just install it on any platform, suppose if you want to develop a Flutter application using the Windows operating system, you can click here, and here is the system prerequisites, and also you need to download this SDK, and also you need to add it to the path, and after that you need to install the Android Studio. So this is really a nice documentation, and suppose this documentation cannot help you with installing and running the Flutter on your machine, there are plenty of good tutorials on YouTube, so you can just watch them, and you can install it on your computer. So there is no point in wasting your time and also doing the same thing that already it's there. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to open my terminal, and also you need to do it so if you have Windows operating system, so you need to open the CMD or command DOS, and if you're using the Linux, so basically you have the terminal. If you write Flutter, you should see some comments like this create devices, doctor, and so on. So means that Flutter is already installed on your computer, and also the Flutter is added to the path. And also if you write Flutter doctor, which is a checklist that tell you everything is there on your PC or not, and this Flutter doctor will take a little bit time. And here is the Flutter doctor output, which tell you which Flutter currently you're using, and also the other checklists that you need to have it on your machine. And suppose any of this is not checked, you need to add it. And also what you can do, there is everything written in the documentation that you can read from here. Okay, so without further ado, what I'm going to do is I'm going to clear my terminal, and from here I'm going to write Flutter create, and I'm going to call my application as a forset. But before that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the directory that I want to create this application. So currently I am in my root user home, or the home directory of this user. So I'm going to the desktop, because here is the forset backend as well, if you remember from the Laravel application. So I'm going to create another application here for my mobile application. So I'm going to the desktop and forset, and here I'm going to write Flutter create, and my mobile application name is forset. But if I do so, there is a problem. The problem is that the package name would become .example.forset, and this is not a good practice, because after completing this mobile application, you want to publish it on the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store, and there you need a unique package name. And this unique package name, let me show you the example. Already I have created this empty project. If you just go to the Android, and here inside the apps, app source, and also main inside the Kotlin, here you have something com.podcoder.forset. So how we can generate this package? So it's really easy using the Flutter. What you can do, just write Flutter create dash dash org means the organization. So you just need to write com dot your domain name. So mine is PodCoder. So basically the reverse domain, if you have the podcoder.com, you need to write the com.podcoder. So this is called the reverse domain, and a space your application name. So mine is Forza. If I hit enter, and it will take a little bit time, it's not taking that much long, it will create the application, and yeah, it's done. So it takes a little bit more time. Yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to the cd for sat, and here I am going to first of all open it in my VS Code. So code dot this application, and if I open it in the VS Code, and if I suppose go to the Android here inside the app, this source, main, and Kotlin, here you can see first of all we have this com, PodCoder, and Forset. Basically these are the directory. So one directory inside the other directory. So basically this com is inside this Kotlin directory, and also PodCoder is inside the com. So this is what the packaging means. So we have the package as com.podcoder.forset, and also if I open the Android manifest.xml, here for the package name we have the com.podcoder.forset. So if you just run the Flutter create, it will not create this package name for you, and there should be something like by default it is called example, com.example, and you can change it anytime you want, but it is really a good practice to just do it at the beginning and at the start, so you don't have any worries. So we have a simple Flutter application, and what I'm going to do is right now, if I open my terminal here, and if I write the Flutter run, basically it is written here also. In order to run your application, type cd forset, means just navigate to the folder, and also run Flutter run. So this is how we can do that. But before that, what you need to do is you need to have a device, an emulator, or what you can say, a real device. So I already have this emulator open, and also if I write the Flutter Doctor, here you can see the connected device is fully installed and one is available, so it is there. And if I write Flutter run and hit enter, it will take a little bit time and will run this application on my emulator. So it's going to take a little bit time, and I'm going to pause this video and I'll come back to you when it's done. So we have our demo Flutter application running on this emulator, and basically this is the counter app that you will get after an initial scaffolding of a Flutter project. And if I press on this floating action button, you can see it is incrementing. And here first of all we have this main method, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this home page from here. We don't want this counter app, and also I'm going to delete this comments. So you can do by pressing Command F or Control F on Windows, and what you can do is you can write slash slash backslash slash and then dot star. Just make sure that this regex is enabled, and you just click here so you can replace it with this empty string. So this will delete all the comments. And also here for the title of the app, what I'm going to write is called the Forset. So this is our application. And also what I'm going to do is I'm just going to rename my app to Forset, and just make sure right now we don't have this home page. And for that I'm just going to put something here. I'm sure this will throw an error because we need to if I open the terminal here, also for the console log, you can see we need to implement something, and right now we don't have it. So we'll have this widget, and we'll just implement and going to implement that. But make sure if you change the name of the application from my app to something else, here inside the test you'll face an error. You need to change it here too, because this will just look for that inside the main.dart. So I have changed it, but we are not going to do the testing in this tutorial, but you can do the testing here. So you can write the test for your Flutter application if you want to. And here we have this demo application, and currently it is broken and not working. So basically we have the entry point to our application, which is the main method, and here we are just calling this run app, which just runs the material, this Flutter application, and we have this stateless widget as our application. And this stateless widget I run app will look for a material app or a Cupertino app that you can just have it here. But before start coding, what I'm going to do is I want to structure more code or architecture our code. Why we need the architecture, or just to have a specific architecture for our application? So this is a really crucial part, and if you want to develop a larger or an enterprise application, you need to have some architecture for your application. It is not something that you start just typing the code. So this is not the programming. What you need to do is you need to first of all just somehow think about your architecture, how you want to architecture your app. So suppose you start coding right now and later on you want to extend this application. So how you can do it? If you don't have an architecture, then after a while you will end up with a mess, and there are codes everywhere, so you don't have a differentiation between your UI, your logic, your data sources, your models, and everything. So no worries. In this tutorial, what I'm going to do is I'm going to architecture this app, and I am going to tell you everything, so how you can do it. And for that we need to just have a specific architecture. And for the architecture, first of all, what we need is we need to have our presentation layer, and this is basically our UI or pages, or what we can say the screens that the users see. And also we have the we have the network layer, and inside this network layer we will have all the models, all the logics, and also we can just call it as domain layer also. But this is not a domain driven design, and just I'll call it as network layer. But inside this network we have the logic, we can put the logic and everything here. And also we will have some other parts like the routes, we have the widgets, and these widgets are basically some reusable components that we are going to use it. So without further ado, what I'm going to do is I am going to start by creating these directories inside the lib. So I'm first of all I am going to call it the router part, because that's the starting point. And right now you can see our application is broken. Why this is broken? Because we don't have this home route, or this home, which is the starting point of our application. So somehow the starting screen or the starting widget for this application, so it is not present, and that's why this application is broken. So we need to have the router. For that we need to have the router.dart, and also we need to have the what is called the route. I'm going to call it route constants.dart. basically some constants are here. So if you are not familiar with the routing or the how you can implement the routing, I have already implemented this routing inside the Flutter localization, and you can just click on the corner to see the how you can implement this routing. But no worries, I'm just going to implement it here too. And also after this, what we have is the presentation. So this presentation. So this is our presentation layer, and basically inside this we'll have our pages. And right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create another directory here, and I'm going to call it as home. And basically this home is, if you remember from our design, so this is the opportunities, if you remember from there. So I'm just going to put something there, and I'm going to call it as opportunities.dart, or opportunities. I'm going to write it in a small letter, opportunities page.dart, to just have a differentiation. Okay, so this is a stateful widget. So we have the stateful widget, and what I'm going to write is here the opportunities page, and I'm going to save it. But first of all, I need to print the comment dot to bring the material.dart. And here what I'm going to write is I'm just going to return a scaffold, and this scaffold will just have an app bar. So this is the app bar, the app bar, and this app bar will have a title of text, and just we'll say the home page. That's it. And right now it's just I'm going to use this one inside my main to just avoid this broken app and just run it again. So if I do so, and if I restart this application, let me see it's working. Yeah, so right now we have our application or demo application and running again. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just hide this debug, and for that I believe it is going to be here, show debug banner. So it's I think it's here. So if I try it false, let me see. Yeah, it's gone. So show debug show checked mode banner. So it's just going to show you that you're in the debugging mode, or you're in the development phase. So I'm just going to make it as false because it hides some parts. Okay, so we are done with this part, and right now we have this one. So I'm going to do the rest of these folders, and what I'm going to write is here the network. And so this is basically our network layer. So this is the logic part. I'm just confused about the naming, so what we can name it. I'm sure this is not the actual naming convention. So basically our logics and some parts will be here, and we can call it as domain, but it will confuse you because we don't have these what we can say. So I'm going to write as application, so it is better, I believe. So because if I write domain layers, so you might think that this is a domain driven design, but it will use some concepts of domain driven design, but this is not a complete domain driven design course, because in that we need to have lots of theories behind that. And so I don't want to just waste your time, but I am determined to structure this code in the best way, and you can also follow, and you can just follow it for developing your Flutter applications. So we have this application layer, and inside this application layer what we will have is we'll have the classes. So this is the classes, and also we'll have the models. So we have the classes, we'll have the models, we'll have the repositories. So this is our repositories, and also we'll have the state. So we will have the state for state management, and so on. So this is our application layer basically. So what we want is to separate the logic from the UI, and we don't want to write all the logic inside the UI, and that is not a good practice to do. So you need to have so different parts or different entities, and these are basically the structure that we are going to follow. And the last part that I'm going to add is here the widgets. So these are the widgets that you can use. So basically these widgets are some reusable widgets. Suppose we are creating a button, and that button can be used in some other parts of your application. So you don't need to just do it again, because there is a concept in programming, and that's called dry on, or don't repeat yourself. So if we have some reusable widgets, we can use it in our entire application. So that widgets or that reusable widgets will be here inside these widgets. So this is all about the structuring or the foldering. And then what we are going to do is we are going to start by installing the required dependencies that we want to add. So the dependencies that I'm going to add is, first of all, I am going to install the Dew Flutter, and this Dew Flutter is a really nice HTTP client that you can use, and this HTTP client will provide you with all the needs that you will have. So basically we'll have all the RESTful APIs here from the RESTful methods from the get, post, put, and also file uploading, the forum request, and so on. So this is a really nice library or package that I'm going to just install it. So I'm going to copy it, and I am going to put it inside the dependencies inside the Flutter. But before that, just make sure that about the indentation, because you're using the YAML file, and this YAML file mostly is sensitive about the indentation. So make sure that this DAU is indented equally with this Flutter. So we have this DAU package, and you can save it here, and automatically this will run the pop-get packages. And also let me just move this one somewhere else. Here you have something, this is basically the get packages. Also you can click here, and the other package that I need to install is called the state. It's called States Rebuilder, I believe, Rebuilder, and this is a really nice and powerful state management library that you can use. And this state management, there are many other libraries, and they are really famous. So like the block library in the Flutter is really famous. But I believe, and as I have used this state rebuilder, it is really a nice and what we can say a good library, and it has all the things like dependency injection, and also separation of the user interface from the logic, and everything that you need. So we are going to use this one, but it is up to you with what library you are going to install. You can have the block, you can have everything, as long as you can work with that. So I'm going to install this one, and this is for our state management. And also what we want is we need the shared preferences library. So we have the shared preferences and preferences. So this shared preferences will use it for storing some data, but not all the data. So we need to have some to persist some data, so we need to have this shared preferences. But if you are going to have something like a local caching of your data, then this shared preference is not a good solution for you. Suppose you want to have a local data source, and if suppose you are not connected to the network, you want to you want to retrieve the data from the local device or from the inside the application. So basically you persisted the data and you want to just get it back. Then there are many other libraries, like one is called the Hive, and also you have the I just forget the name. So basically there are plenty of good libraries that you can use, and the shared preference is not a a good library for the for persisting the data, but for some extents this shared preferences is going to work for you without any issue or any problem. So we need to have this one, and also what we need is the Flutter Secure Storage, I believe. So let me just search for that. So we have this Flutter Secure Storage, and this is a really nice library that we want to use it. So this is provided by this guy, and basically this uses and this first of all uses the keychain and also AES encryption for the Android, and we can use that. So what we will do is we will use this secure storage to store some sensitive data. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just, in the installing part, I'm just going to grab this library and paste it here inside my pops this .yaml file. So after saving, it will get this package. So for now, I believe we have all the packages that we want, and we don't have any other what we can say, we don't have any other dependencies right now. These are the most the dependencies that we are going to use with this application, and this will take a little bit time. I believe this Flutter Secure Storage, and I'm not quite sure it has some kind of implementation. So basically you can use it directly, it is there, but the only thing that you need to do is in the Android version the minimum SDK should be greater than 18. So just make sure about this one. So this is a requirement for that. So right now we have everything in place, and if I refresh the app, we have this application without any broken part, and here we are good to go. So this is our application, and right now I think this video will get lengthy and I don't want that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop this video, and I am going to implement first of all the router part in the next video, and also we'll move on and we'll move forward. And my intention in this Flutter part is to cover most of the part, even though for some of you this might be a little bit boring, but I try my best to just speed up my work. But for this introduction part, I try to explain it a little bit more, because once you have the whole idea that what we are going to do, then it is really easy to implement that. So that's why I took a little bit more time, and in the next video I am just going to start with the routing part, and after just finishing the route part, what we are going to do is we are going to have the application layer, and we'll just explain everything, and we'll have everything in place. Thank you for watching. Kindly subscribe and hit the bell button so you'll be notified about the upcoming videos.